I played her 20 years younger boyfriend.
Oh.
Yeah, I played Karate Rob. It was a lot of this, huh?
Welcome to Lucifer's penthouse, Tom. Now, we both have a lot in common, you know. We're both 6'3".
Yep, we've both played iconic DC characters.
We are both super charming and handsome, to boot.
And we're both on Lucifer.
We are indeed.
Yeah.
So now we're both here. I have actually prepared some questions for you.
Oh.
Right, Tom Welling, ladies and gentlespoons. Tell me about your favourite job you had before getting into acting.
The favorite job I had was probably being a bartender. That was a lot of fun, sort of being able to mix it up with some, crazy people when they get drunk.
Was that in Los Angeles or was that somewhere else?
That was up in Michigan, believe it or not.
Oh,
yeah.
Cool. And how old did you do that until? What age?
I think about 19, and then I took off.
Hold on a minute. Can you serve drinks?
I did.
Right, okay.
I don't think
Maybe
it was
we
quite
should move
legal.
on.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll ask you a sincere question.
Oh.
How did you get Lucifer? I don't know that story. I actually don't.
Well, I just had done a show, which was kind of like, I suppose, what I would call my big break in America, a show called Rush that was on USA. We did one season of that, and the show got cancelled, unfortunately. But then it was a good job for me in terms of like it sort of made people aware of me. And then the following pilot season, I was given a lot of scripts to read through. And I hated all of them, bar the Lucifer script, which I absolutely fell in love with it by about page 3. And I was so like, this is the one that I want to get. And then it was kind of weirdly sort of seamless after that. I went to go and meet Len Wiseman, who was directing the pilot, and we had very similar thoughts about it. And that was it. He had to sort of sell me to the studio and to the network. And they all said yes. And here we are, 3 years later. Who'd have thunk it?
What was your first thought when you heard that I was coming to the show? We've had this discussion. I already know the answer.
No, I was really excited because I watched Tom's previous show, Smallville.
You were the one.
I was the one viewer that kept you going for 10 years, and so obviously I knew your work, and I kind of thought, oh, this is going to be really interesting because one of the briefs about your character this year was that we needed someone who could go toe to toe with Lucifer, and. So they decided to get someone called Tom, who was 6'3", who could go exactly toe to toe with someone called Tom, who's 6'3". Yeah. So that was great, and I'd heard some good things about you as a person, and I can confirm they're all true. He is a lovely man. So yeah, I was super excited.
Right on. I'm gonna lose my jacket. I want to get comfortable here.
Hey, buy me a drink first. Oh, you have. Yeah, it's quite warm in Lucifer's penthouse. But not as warm as where he's actually from. Right. Right, come on, ask away.
All right. Do you base Lucifer on any particular character or actor? Or what was your, when you got to that third page of the script, was there anything that just, you kind of thought, I kind of see this, I kind of feel it?
Yeah, I had a weird sort of, when I first read it, it was written in a very sort of specific way. Okay. And there was no kind of like guidance as to how he should sound or anything. But it really reminded me when I was running through it that it was so wordy that it needed to be delivered with a certain amount of pace and energy. And it reminded me of like doing old plays by Noel Coward or Oscar Wilde or something like that, where their characters kind of often talk in a very sort of linear way that just sort of flows, and you had to find the rhythm to it. And that's kind of where I started with it. And then with the sort of bad boy, sort of Mick Jagger-esque swagger to him. That was my sort of starting point. Yeah, makes sense. And I guess some people said a little bit of Alan Rickman in there as well.
Maybe. I like the Mick Jagger thing.
I like the Mick Jagger, yeah. So Mick Jagger and Noel Coward's love child.
There you go.
There we go.
What is the password to your social media account? I don't think we should answer. No.
Right, Tom, you have directed, I didn't know this actually, you've directed 7 episodes of Smallville. Yeah. Have you got any plans to direct in the future? Maybe even on this show?
I mean, I would love to. I mean, I love being here and being around you guys. Maybe next season, who knows? But I do like it. There's something, one of the things about acting is you never really get to feel like you ever nailed anything or that you finished something. It's always like, oh, let me go again, let me make it better. With directing, you're able to sort of get that sense of accomplishment. Like we got the scene, time to move on. And there's also when you give a note to an actor, and I'm sure you've felt this in conversations with actors. When you can say something to someone and it sort of sparks something in their eyes, and then they go and they do a take on camera, it's magic. It's magical. It's a really good sense. I would love to
drop a little nugget.
Yeah,
a nugget from the gods. Cool, man. I'd like to ask you actually on the directing front.
Yeah.
When you are an actor in a scene and you are directing the scene, how does that work?
The first episode I ever directed, I was in 90% of the scenes.
Right.
And what happened was, I had some good people around me on the show. I'd been on the show for, I think, 4 or 5 years. And I had some good directors say, you have to do more takes on yourself than the other actor. You're going to feel like after 2 takes, you don't want to spend too much time on you. It's going to seem egotistical. But the truth is, do 5 takes of you and 2 of the other, if that's the case, because you're kind of in between it. And I also was working with people who were, I didn't go back every take and watch what was going on, but every 2 or 3 takes to see that we were.
Did you have like a body of trust at the monitors?
Very much.
And is that like what your script supervisor and your DP?
Exactly.
There you go. Director of photography.
And it's sort of like, I don't know if you have any interest in directing, but you kind of set that all up beforehand. And then I got a call when they were in post from the guy who ran the show, and he was like, so everybody else out of the room, and sort of sat me down, and I was like, yeah, so how was my episode? He goes, not your best work. And I was like, what do you mean? I thought I nailed it. And he was the one who told me, like, this is what happens. And so when I hear about other actors directing themselves, it's like, I kind of know how tough that is. But it's not impossible. I recommend it. You learn a lot.
I would love to have a go. I'm just slightly worried about if they do more takes on me than the other actors. They're just there going, look at him directing, hogging all the limelight.
Exactly.
Okay, cool. Ask me. Come on, ask me something.
I went to Comic-Con with you this year. That was the first time we really got to spend any time together. The question is, you've been there a few times already. Is there anything interesting encounter with any fans? Anything strange?
I mean, the weirdest thing about Comic-Con is that it feels like Groundhog Day when you're there. Because it's like, it's great fun. And it's so different to any other press that you do. But there's like a party on the Friday night and the Saturday night that all the like cast and people get invited to, and they're at the same venue. And so you leave Comic-Con every year going, oh, remember at that party? And you go, that was on the Friday, that was on the, and it's just all one thing. But no, there was one year that I bumped into half of my entire house share from London from when I first came out of acting school.
Out of nowhere?
Yeah, I mean, so I used to live with James McAvoy, who I was at drama school with, and an actor called Jesse Spencer, who's on Chicago Fire now. And bizarrely, I saw Jesse at this party, and I was like, oh, Jess, what are you doing? He was like, hold on a minute. And he went to the bar to go and get a drink and came back with James. And we were like, wait. And then another friend of ours who used to live in the house rocked up, who was there promoting a video game that he was on.
That's
so that
amazing.
was quite a weird sort of like...
And it wasn't arranged.
Friends reunited at Comic-Con.
That's hilarious.
That's my story. Anyway. Yeah. Right. Let me ask you something very interesting. Okay. I didn't know this either. This is very useful. I heard you initially turn down the role of Clark Kent on Smallville.
Yeah.
What finally convinced you to play said role?
Well, at the time, they didn't have a script, or they weren't releasing it. You just kind of had to come in and audition. And there were other things that I was out for at the time. And they didn't apparently find their guy. And David Nutter, who directs a lot of pilots, very good director, he was directing it. And he called and said, come in and read it. We can't let you take it, but come in and read it and then, see how you feel. So I came into the office. They sort of put me behind a closed door. I read it and I was like, oh, this is actually different. This is about a kid trying to understand who he is and what his place is in the world, as opposed to just, throwing on tights and a cape and flying around and kind of
Which I would have loved, to be honest.
Well, so then a lot like you, as soon as the process started, it was like 3 weeks and we were like, I had it. It was I think they were really desperate. I think they'd gone through every other actor, and I think it was just like, well, he kind of looks like the guy.
Well, I think there was probably a lot of pressure on their shoulders as well, with it being a huge sort of, DC property and all of those things. But they found their man.
Well,
tis and was you. Describe me in 3 words.
Professional, funny, and tall. Well, here's one. So what's the deal with Lucifer and Decker?
I mean, for me, like the storyline of Chloe and Lucifer is very much sort of the heartbeat of our show, and I think that she is she is what Lucifer, what represents love to Lucifer. I mean, I don't think he's ever experienced love. We did sort of tease the notion of unconditional love with the mum storyline in season 2,
Right.
but the notion of romantic love and actively giving yourself to someone and kind of, making that person more important, which is very difficult for Lucifer.
Yeah.
That's how I see his and the detective's relationship. And I've always had this notion in my head. It's a bit like Beauty and the Beast, but in reverse. Whereas she gets the sort of prince version of Lucifer. That's this one. And then the real Lucifer.
You're not calling her a beast.
She is a beast. But then the real version of Lucifer is the sort of ugly beast version. Right. And, getting her to... Because I think the two characters do actually love each other. And I think that's what's the gravity of the show. But they're two characters who, for whatever reason, they can't admit that to each other.
Well, what I love watching the first 2 seasons as a fan, my favorite scenes are when you're like, I'm the devil. No, I'm actually him. Watch. And she's just like, whatever.
Yeah. She's always found a plausible reason or a sort of scientific, logical reason as the detective to kind of not believe that.
Right. Okay, so this is an important one. Who or what account is your guilty pleasure on social media?
On Twitter, I do enjoy Gordon Ramsay, I have to say. So he's got this thing where people just send him what they've cooked or what their boyfriend's made for them or whatever, and he makes always a very funny comment about how awful it looks.
Okay.
Gordon tends to make me laugh, so yeah.
All right.
Oh, it's me too. Okay. Tom, Smallville and Lucifer both shot in Vancouver.
Yeah.
Now Lucifer is in LA. What do you love most about filming in the City of Angels?
Well, there's 2 things. One, I'm a lot closer to work from where I live. And 2 is, I think LA really supports Lucifer as far as even the visual and the lights and being able to go on locations for real, as opposed to in the first 2 seasons, Lucifer was set in LA, but it shot in Vancouver. And I don't know if you could tell, but I know there's a big difference between 2 and 3.
I think that people that know can tell. Yeah. I think our audience often, thankfully caught up in the story and it doesn't compute that much.
Right.
And also we would flesh the show out with trips to LA and lots of sort of flyover establishing shots and stuff. But you like Vancouver, don't you?
I mean, I did not like it.
Yeah. That's not a leading question because I love Vancouver and the people there are amazing.
I didn't see much of it. I mean, the amount of, as you know, the amount of work that it takes, it was like I would just be at work all week and then sleep all weekend and go back to work. And then if I had any time, I'd fly off, just try to reconnect with family and friends. But everything about Vancouver is fantastic, going to Whistler and doing all that stuff. And it's gorgeous in the summer and the spring.
It is one of the most beautiful cities I've ever been to in the summer. Right. Like when you can see Vancouver, it's fantastic.
Yeah, exactly.
You just can't see it for a lot of the time because it rains a lot. But that's not their fault. Anyway.
I got one for you. Yeah. At Gleiswood?
Oh, we're doing Twitter questions.
Oh, yeah.
Let's do Twitter questions.
At Gleiswood, one word to describe Marcus Pierce. Stern.
Enigmatic.
Oh. Can you be more specific?
Enigmatic. That'll sum it up.
I got one. Princess Rise.
Is she a real princess?
Yeah, look at that.
Oh, she is.
Yeah.
Princess Reese.
Yeah.
Princess of Wales.
And then she's there too. Will Lucifer ever seek God's forgiveness, and will God forgive him? Hashtag Lucifer.
Oh, goodness me. Well, I think Lucifer feels very much at the moment that he doesn't want his dad's forgiveness. I think what he really thinks that he wants is just complete separation from his father and his father's influence on his life. I think we sort of hit a bit of a sort of vein of actually what Lucifer really would want to do if he ever saw his dad and spoke to his dad. When we had an episode last season when Tim Omenson played God Johnson, which was one of my favourite episodes actually. And I think you got a sense in that episode that what Lucifer wants is his dad's acceptance and his dad's love, which is what we all want, really. And so, I think, but he would be pained to admit that to anybody. But yeah, I think deep down, that's where Lucy's at.
Yeah, it's almost like if you got the forgiveness, it's to be like, yeah, but that's not.
Yeah.
Yeah.